Okay, welcome to my little short video. I'm not sure how long this thing's going to be, but I'm going to get some of the boring stuff out of the way first. Going to do kind of a how-to all the way across the board, including the palm tech and stuff. Going to put that in first, and there's a pretty good video and a whole lot of pictures on how to do a pool inspection the Bentley way. Okay, here's what the palm tech app looks like I'm using a phone, but it's going to ask you for the location, the pool type, the pool status, and it's got type again. And basically what you're going to do is, if it's a gunite pool or a vinyl pool liner, whatever you need to do, you want to put in the condition of it. If it's clear, circulation, if it's, the water's moving good. If it's clean, if it's real junky, you want to list whatever condition the pool is at the time of the day. And it's showing deck. And just because it's a deck, that can be the concrete decking and going around everything, and the coping is actually the edge. I'm getting a little behind, but the pump, motor filter, electrical, plumbing, shutoff valves, all these things need to be addressed. The shutoff valve a lot of times is going to have a multi-port. The backwash valve, there's going to be more information later. The gauges and controls, ladder, steps. The pool enclosure is a big thing that's very important. And if you notice then in the software, there's a lot of stuff, filter pipes, breakers, heaters, fuel supply, water sample testing. A lot of that stuff's innate on the report as you will see it, but it's there in case you need to add anything to it. There's also going to be times that you will need to add stuff. Like if it's a saltwater pool, you may need to add the salt generator, any of that stuff. The diving boards and slides and stuff, if you got a homeowner there, you can test them out, but if not. And here comes a video on our training class from 2021.
Gunite, or if it is a vinyl liner. Now, talking to the guys here now, this is vinyl. What you want to do, you see where it's cut in, the groove? I got on my hands and knees like an old man here. What you want to do is this here needs to be tight in these corners. Because when this vinyl starts going bad, you can see it coming loose here. What's the correct term for this, David, where they took that in? I don't either. That's the reason I asked you. It's actually got a little, I know how they do it, but I don't know what it's called. And you can see all the little, around the steps and everything, they glue and button those things. But I take my time and look in the corners, because usually the problems are these corners. And I'll tell you the condition of these liners. I take a picture where I can get the bottom and look. Should we have a handrail? Should have a handrail. On the report, no handrail. Fall protection. Okay, we got a good fence. All the way around. David's got him a waterfall on his you got a hook for your jet, right? Mm-hmm. What about the little cracks here? There's a little crack. What are these?
Cover ties.
Cover ties. You got a tool?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have one? Has anybody ever seen the tool that works on these things? It's basically a piece of pipe, got a little T-handle on it, and you can catch it and lift it up, and you can catch the cover and slide down on it. And when you get ready to let it up, you twist it and unlock it. That's how those things work. And if they have a tool, they'll get through it. What's these little holes? I know what it used to be. It used to be a slide. Okay, a slide here. On the decking. This is decking. This is the coating. On how it rolls, this is it's the coat that's cut at the top of the pool. And the way you do that is don't get the other side of the pool. Got a weir. What kind of cleaning, mate? You got a octopus or anything? you got an octopus or anything, that's really not part of the inspection. But if you see it, take a picture, especially if it's crawling around doing its job. You know, note it. Okay, the clarity. They've got a good clean pool. Clean, deck, cracks present. Anybody see anything wrong with this deck?
You might hurt your foot on that PVC right there.
All right. Would you note this? There you go. Good man. Anything you see like this, note it. Those things are done like they're supposed to do. You don't have to, I don't manhandle them usually. Have you ever seen the diving board that didn't need to be written up?
Not me.
Always note that the diving board's here and that you did not inspect it. Because if you walk over here,
That was great.
I don't see a crack on it, but almost every one's got a crack somewhere. Also, got some cracks. We always
Tag on some weight.
do what?
Should have a tag on some of them weight.
Yeah, they're a little tired.
Most of them are about 50 years.
Yeah. But those things are problematic, just, you know, right up at your head. The, everything. And you do need to look, make sure they got a basket in them.
Okay, here we are at a sand filter with a multi-port valve. This is actually showing, I'm ahead of myself a little bit, but it's just the way the video came out. We're doing a backflow test on this thing. You don't have to start opening and closing valves. Just make sure they're in good condition. But this is what one will look like. The water's draining out this pipe. You can see the pump and everything's kind of going backwards, and it's actually cleaning the sand right now. So it's going back through the other way, backwashing it. You're going to see if you look in this, when you put the clean up, this is what gets rid of the trash on the top. It's another section on the multi-port valve. You can't read David's label on top, so you can't really show it. But anytime you do valves or change anything, you'll always want to turn the power off. But you don't have to do this stuff during a standard inspection. And like I said, you do not have to change all these valves, but this is just a good way to see how these things start working.
Well, it's backwashing now, so then gonna go to waste.
Go to waste. And that just gets the water off the top, right?
Yep, that cleans the sand, lets the sand settle back down. That's
Good and clean. Turn it back off. Put it back into normal operation.
You can do rinse or filter, but I think it's good. You can go back to filter.
And now we're back in business with the pool. You're going to look at the size of the pump, condition of the pump, make sure the motor's running good, and your ground wire. Okay, during the inspection, you're going to look at the basket and make sure it's clean. You want to make sure all the valves are in good shape and not leaking. You want to look at the coping, and that looks like David, never mind. But you want to look at the coping around the edge of the pool, check all these things out. Where the vinyl attaches, there's a little groove and channel, make sure all that stuff is good. You know, make sure the decking is sloped. You don't want surface water running into the pool. You want to make sure that the fence is working properly. The pool needs to be enclosed. Also, the pool house is part of a pool inspection. If you're looking at any of these things, you know, you may even have to create you a little outbuilding and go over that. Here again, look in these corners on these vinyl pools. It's very important. And here's something that's pretty neat to look at. You can't really see them good in this picture, but if you look closely, there's some repairs in the bottom of this vinyl pool. You'll see the little discolored dots, and you will want to take a picture of those the best you can and document them. You know, pool leaks are really hard to discover, but if you see these little different colored spots in the bottom, those are visible repairs. You see the little patch? That's the way they patch those things. You want to note all that stuff. You want to make sure the drain is clean, and if they've got one of the little, the little octopuses out there running around, make sure it's in good shape. But document all this stuff and take several pictures. The skimmers, they need to be clean and have baskets. Here again, I'm looking at the deck. You want to go over all this stuff and just get it in the report. Most of it's self-explanatory if you look at it. Diving boards, always be cautious of those things. And thank you, David, for letting us use your pool. But all these valves need pictures. And, like I said, the skimmers, they're easy to get to. Usually the screws are not in them. It doesn't make a big deal. But that's the basics for just doing a pool inspection. Okay, I'm going to go over filters right now. These are sand filters. You're going to see them in a lot of different sizes, configurations. They'll have a little name on top of them, but basically what they are is just a big tank of sand, and the water goes through it, and that sand naturally filters. The control valves are on top. This is considered a multi-port. You can put those in the direction. It will actually run the water through the sand. Then when you put it in the cleaning cycle, it backflows. Then you dump the trash out off the top. I showed a little video of that earlier. But these are the way these things work. You're going to see the configuration of valves in a lot of different ways and pump motors. This one's actually winterized, make sure everything's in good shape. Here's actually a picture. It's the best picture I've got of a cartridge filter. They make them everywhere, but this is a little indoor pool's what this one is. But when you see these motors, there's a few things you need to look at on those. They have to be bonded and grounded. Grounded being the right word, not bonded. They need to be grounded. And you notice around this one, you can see a little bit of water stain, and this one actually was leaking in a little place or two. But this is one of the indoor pools, and you're going to see the little chlorinators added onto those. And like I said, as I said earlier, this one is leaking. These are things you're going to want to note in your report that it was leaking. You're going to see more pictures of this one later on in this video. The motor on this pool here, you notice how it's bonded up at the top. I got another picture of this one later on too. But you just want to document the condition of these pool motors and make sure everything looks good. There's actually, you can list the horsepowers and stuff if you want to, but be sure and just take good pictures and documentation. Now I'm going to talk about pool heaters. Pool heaters are a pain in the butt. Most of the time you can't get them to start, but be sure and document what you can and what you can't do. You'll also see a lot of them that are heat pumps now. I don't actually have a picture of one, I don't think. But this one had a problem. We had to get the people to come in and work on it, but I couldn't get it to run, and actually I got the homeowner basically to say he couldn't get it started. But you'll see all kinds of different configurations of these things. This is a modern, common-looking pool heater. Okay, here's something I want to talk about for just a second. This is the salt chlorine generator. When you see these, it's a salt pool. It wouldn't hurt you to get on Google and learn a little more about salt, but a lot of the pools today are going over to the salt rather than using the basic chlorine and stuff. A lot of these will have a little cartridge in line, and I just don't have a picture of one of those to put in the video, but pay attention to these. Okay, I'm going to talk about electrical just for a second. You're going to look at the electric, whatever's controlling it. Like I said, everything has to be grounded. It's usually a sub panel, so the panel should be separated. But it's basically the same thing as doing an electrical inspection, and you shouldn't have any trouble with this. If you got anything, call in for an electrician. Okay, you're going to see a lot of indoor pools, especially up in the Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge area. You need to look at these things pretty closely. We find a lot of concerns with them. This one is actually one with a liner. A lot of them are the fiberglass. You'll see them installed in the basements of these cabins. This one's actually had some deck problems, and they've put a composite deck over it. You can see the water level's real low. This one's been leaking. You can see it. Here's a picture of a water alarm. They should all have this. This goes back to the pictures I was looking at earlier, kind of talking about the valves. This one actually has the small heater like goes on a spa. That's actually how they're heating this pool. You'll see those a lot. It's just basically a giant hot tub. They don't have to keep the water real hot. But be sure and check the plumbing, all the piping, and like I said, the little chlorinators and the little heaters. Like I said, this is a little spa heater here. They'll have a hose bib usually that fills the pools. A lot of them's got the auto fill. But when you crawl under these things, if you can get under them, look at all the water leaking out of this one. This is one with a liner. Found all kinds of water problems on this cabin. You be sure and document this stuff. Document this stuff whether you're doing a pool inspection or not. But these are the things to be looking for. You can see the metal grating for underneath the concrete. And here you go again. This is the circulation piping. And this is inside the crawl space where you can see that the water's actually leaking through the block. You know, these things need to be documented. This is inside the crawl space in water. And, you know the things that we see under these houses. It's real common. This is another pool here. This has got a decking problem, a lot of problems with things settling around it. If you look real close, you can see some of the movement. Some of it's been repaired. It's got a waterfall that's been replaced. And, you know, you look in the bottom, you can see some damage in the gunite. Now, here's one that's got a liner. You can see the coping is moving. And if you look real close, you can see where this one's actually been jacked up in some areas. These are the things that you want to document real well. But this vinyl liner on this pool's coming loose. If you look real close, you can see the coping is settling, the decking's moving around a little bit. You want to pay particular attention to these pools. This one, a friend of mine was buying, and it had some pretty major concerns. See how the decking is moving. You can see the settlement on this. See the trims loose on this. I don't know what they got going on here, but it was really pretty bad. There's almost an inch of settling on this decking. The pretty good cracks in it, a lot of movement going on, and these things you want to call somebody in to look at. This is what you look for on these steps. Is where that's not a good picture, but you can see the vinyl letting go. This is how it looks when the vinyl's coming loose. This is going to have somebody fix it and make a repair before too long. But these are things that you look for in a pool inspection, things you want to document. And if you've got a water slide or, anything like that, and you can get them to run, that's fine. Don't do a bunch of work that you don't feel comfortable doing. Again, if the pool house is there, be sure and look at those things. And when you get an above ground pool, just look at the condition of them, because they're pretty much the same as everything else, but they also have the pump, the liner, but just write up the condition. Okay, here's a little video I done of that pool that was leaking, the little indoor pool. You can actually see the basket. It's actually sucking air through the pump. And we're leaking underneath. I got a little short section here underneath. But I actually, being the nice guy that I am, turned the water on and added some water to the pool so that it wouldn't burn everything up. Okay, this concludes this section of the video. There's always something going on with the swimming pool. Be sure, note anything you see that's out of character. Trees come into play, retaining walls, anything that does that. But if you'll just follow the guidelines on the software, it will get you through most of it. Never hesitate to call, take a picture. Sorry I didn't have any better pictures of the salt generator, salt pools, but you can kind of look around and work your way through that stuff to begin with. The big thing is if it's operating or in good condition. Okay, now we're going to talk about hot tubs. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. We do a lot of hot tub inspections. There's two sections of this video here that I went through, one on my hot tub and one on David's when we were over there. The critical points on a hot tub: is it leaking? Is the deck big enough to hold it? And is the top need to be changed? Is it got hot water in it, or is it just got problems? And document what's going on. On a basic home inspection, it's a whole lot better just to take a picture of the top, the front, make sure it's not leaking, and make sure the deck's supported. You don't have to do anything else. Sometimes people pay us extra to do a more detailed inspection, and if they do, go through a whole lot more detail, look at everything. It's pretty straightforward, and again, if you got any questions, just call me, call the office, call somebody, and we will take care of you. Okay, I'm going to do the basics on doing a hot tub with just a home inspection and no complete inspection. All you want to do is walk around, get you a picture of the cover, get you a picture of the unit. If there's anything wrong, take a picture. Now this is my hot tub, so I've got it tied down in a weird way. Open the tub, make sure the water's hot. I take this picture, turn on the jets, take this picture, take this picture, get out. When you're doing the rest of the deck inspection or when you're doing the rest of the home inspection, go under, and if you've got water leaking, note it. That's all there is to a basic inspection. Takes a whole, this video's a minute and a half long. Takes a whole minute and a half to do a basic inspection. Now, if you're going to do a detailed inspection, you'll do just a little bit more. We're not going to take covers off. We're going to pay a little more attention to the knobs and buttons. Now, on a basic inspection, if you see anything missing, just make a note of it, take a picture, and move on. Like I said, make sure the cover's in pretty good shape. If it's got any bad places, note it. If there's any safety issues, note them. There's really not a lot to have to know about a whirlpool. The way these covers work, it's a balanced out to where that it allows you with one hand to open the covers. They work pretty easy, but doing a hot tub inspection is not that big a deal. But on a basic home inspection, if you're doing one of these cabins, we do a lot of cabins, take a picture of it, document if it's leaking or if it's a piece of crap. I've got a little loose piece of trim there. If you want to note that, that's okay, but don't make a big deal with it. The thing about it is, if you will document it, take a picture of it, make sure the cover's in pretty good shape, you won't get that phone call, and the office won't have to deal with it. And it really does take less than 5 minutes. That's if you take your time. You're
Now
live.
everybody's here.
You're live.
I wouldn't put this live. This stuff's too dirty to put it on.
Okay. When you're doing an inspection, would you write this up being clean? No. Water level's low because when it starts circulating, it's going to pull down. I noticed some of the jets are squirting water everywhere. The condition of the tub is good. Look at the control panel. Let me slide by you, David. I don't want to fall in a daggone tub. But when you look at these jets, you want to make sure the screen's working. We've had the jets running, but it's squirting water everywhere. I'm not going to turn it back on. When you look at these things, you don't really have to look at this. He's got a 5 filter bank. This is a pretty nice tub. Most of them's got 2. Some of the small ones just have 1. You want to look at the filters, make sure they're there. Don't have to necessarily be clean. You want to write up the condition of the cover. Okay. The number one thing you want to look at, especially on these rental cabins, are they leaking? Okay, you want to see if they're on. I mean, you don't have to, this is showing 104 degrees, but you want to make sure that the water is hot. If it's not hot, make a note that it's not heating. You want to turn it on for just a second, David? You can see how well, it's not as low in the water as I thought it was. Clean cycle, it's going to pull everything through the top. Another thing is make sure they are full of water. Part of the hot tub inspection is really not anything to do with the hot tub really, but make sure if they've been leaking, they've not destroyed the deck. What am I missing, G?
Biggest thing on any hot tub is
That cover's
make sure
shot.
make sure there's no leaks. The best thing to do if it's on a vehicle that's high up, you can get under it. That's the place to go. That's where your leak's going to show up. You may not be able to find out exactly where that leak's at, but at least you can know that it's leaking.
Yeah, we want to note that it's leaking, whether you can see the leak or not, where it's actually leaking. You'll also turn that thing back off. That way I won't have to fumble with buttons. You don't have to spend a lot of time on these things. But see, I've got one control knob here that's messed up. You want to do a real quick look at the jet covers. A lot of those will be missing or gone. This is one of the control valves that controls the jets and the flow of the water, the air bubbles or something. But you would note that that's missing. Like I said, the big things I find problems with is leaks and covers. Anybody got any questions?